I wonder if it was better than the video I previously reacted to. I'll make sure to link that video as well in the description.
Use all the information out there, all the pieces of data to approach this debate from all the angles possible and put this matter to rest once and for all. So let's get right into it. I decided on 7 key categories to compare these players. In no particular order of importance, these are accolades, statistics, circumstances, who had how much help, who faced better competition, who faced a tougher era, the performance in the clutch, peak, longevity, and the eye test. When we talk about accolades for both of these players, we see that Jordan has more rings, more finals MVPs, 1 more regular season MVP, more all-defense selections, has also won a Defensive Player of the Year award, 9 more scoring titles, as well as 3 more steals titles, whereas LeBron has more All-NBA selections, 1 more assist title, and more All-Star nods. So straight off the bat, we can see that Michael Jordan wins this category with more accolades across the board. But I really want to put some things into perspective here. If I give you 2 players, and both of them had won 2 rings, both times they were the finals MVP, and they'd also won a regular season MVP award, but player A had also won a Defensive Player of the Year and had led the league in a major statistical category 7 more times than player B. What would you think of these 2 players?
I'll think player A is better. Period. I wouldn't even think about it.
I mean, they're both Hall of Fame level talents, right? So who are these guys? Well, player B is Kevin Durant, and player A is the gap in awards won by Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Basically, the gap in their awards is still bigger than Kevin Durant's whole career resume, who in his own right is a top 50 player all time. In fact, there have been 36 players who have won the regular season MVP award, 21 of which have also won a finals MVP at some point in their career, and only 9 of them have rebounds, general shooting from the field, as well as shooting from the 3-point line. So Jordan wins 5 out of the 9 categories in this situation. And the same continues in the playoffs, with Jordan taking home points per game, steals per game, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage, and fewer turnovers, while LeBron this time takes home assists per game, rebounds per game, blocks per game, and general shooting from the field, giving Michael Jordan a slight edge.
The thing I'm confused about is the assist numbers are really a myth, because if you're averaging 7 assists a game to have almost 4 turnovers, every second pass, every second assist, you're turning the ball over. People want to talk about efficiency. What about that? If you have 7 assists and 4 turnovers, what's the efficiency there? Efficiency shouldn't just be field goal percentage, because if you're DeAndre Jordan, you're dunking the basketball all the time, you're going to have a higher field goal percentage, right? This is why, like, when I talk to a lot of LeBron fans, they mention numbers. They don't ever want to mention it in context. Anyway, let's keep going.
Edge when it comes to traditional statistics, both in the regular season as well as the playoffs, having won 5 out of the possible 9. But what if we go deeper into the numbers? What about advanced statistics? Well, in that case, Jordan wins in PER, which is the player efficiency rating. It's an all-encompassing metric which evaluates the player's impact on the court. He also wins win shares for 48 minutes, box plus minus on the offensive as well as the defensive side, total box plus minus, and LeBron wins true shooting percentage and value over replacement. And the same trend continues in the playoffs, with Jordan taking home PER, win shares for 48, offensive, defensive, and total box plus minus. And LeBron wins the categories of true shooting percentage as well as value over replacement.
That's crazy. And he's a guard. He's a guard. He's a guard. You can, like, I don't like, it's not fair to compare true shooting percentages, field goal percentages for players in different positions. If we look at someone like Ray Allen, for example, he's an all-time great shooter, but he shot below 50% from the field. Nobody mentions that. But when it's someone like Kobe Bryant, for example, they want to call him inefficient, but his shooting percentage is higher than Ray Allen. His shooting percentage is higher than Bill Russell, and Bill Russell is a center. Nobody mentions that. I say that to say this: there's no point comparing field goal percentages when it's 2 different positions. It's if you're closer to the basket, your chances of making the shot is higher. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's keep going.
Now, we looked at both traditional as well as advanced stats for both of these players. But who's the better basketball player? Many fans of LeBron like to point out that LeBron is the most complete and the best all-around basketball player that the world has ever seen. I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of clips of Ray Allen arguing with fans on LeBron's overall gameplay. So, is that statement really true? I mean, is LeBron James
to the basket, not using too many dribbles, is able to facilitate, is able to rebound the ball, not turn the ball over a lot, and not have a high usage rate? I'm picking Larry Bird over him. This guy, he's like Westbrook, James Harden, Steve Nash. They need the ball in their hands the whole game. Otherwise, they're not effective. Look what happened in Miami the first year. They had to change the whole system to make it fit him so that they win. He needs to be the system to win. We see players like him not succeeding. James Harden, Russell Westbrook. Guys that need the ball in their hands the whole time. It's not effective. It's not effective. Know what I mean? So, all around player, I'll pick Larry Bird over LeBron any day of the week. He's a physical specimen, and he's built to be able to do everything, but does he really do everything as efficiently as people say? No. If you're averaging 7 assists but 4 turnovers, is that really efficient? No.
You've ever seen? When it comes to scoring, it's not true. Michael Jordan is a far superior scorer between these two players. He has a higher points per game average in the regular season as well as the playoffs, has 9 more scoring titles, more than double the number of 50-point games, more than double the number of 40-point games, and more 40-point games shooting an elite 60% or higher from the field. Now, I came across this post on the Real GM forum, which looks at 126 different games from Michael Jordan's prime and creates a shot chart showing his efficiency while shooting from various zones on the court. So it got me thinking, what if I take LeBron's shot chart from his peak days with the Miami Heat and compare it to this to figure out who the better shooter is? By the way, shout out to Dipper13 for collecting this extensive data set. It's really amazing knowing that we have some kind of data from Michael Jordan's prime, before.
Bro, awesome video. Goodness gracious. I don't know how long it took you to make this video, but this video should be getting more views. I don't know how much views is in this video right now, but this is a great video so far. I'm enjoying it.
Before the NBA started officially tracking these stats back in '97. When looking at the shot charts, both Michael Jordan as well as LeBron James are elite finishers at the rim, making about 2 out of every 3 shots. But as you move away from the rim, a trend emerges that shows that.
Interesting. LeBron fans, tell me, what's the difference between the green and the red there? What do you see? So when you come to us, whatever fans were, and you want to mention field goal percentage, and I say things like, if you're dunking the basketball most of the time, your field goal percentage is going to be higher. Oh no, it means it's a better. Okay, how come it doesn't show it here? Interesting. These are stats you guys never want to mention, right? Anyway, I'm done playing. Let's just keep watching.
That no matter where you pick on the court, Mike could shoot it better than LeBron. I mean, looking at LeBron's shot chart, he's not really that effective or efficient anywhere except within 5 feet of the basket.
Yeah.
Whereas Jordan literally owns the mid-range, and contrary to popular opinion, happens to be an elite 3-point shooter. Well, except that right corner 3.
Yeah.
And many of you guys might be thinking, is it really big enough sample size? I mean, Jordan did shoot a lot of threes, and you'd be right, but 250 3-point shots is a big enough sample size. I'd like to add some context surrounding the number of 3-point attempts. Here's a chart showing the number of 3-point attempts versus the 3-point field goal percentage. As you go from left to right, the number of 3-point attempts increases, and as you go from bottom to top, the 3-point field goal percentage increases. You can see that there's a clear trend. The more threes you attempt, the better you get at shooting them.
Wow.
For reference, here's Stephen Curry and Russell Westbrook. Stephen Curry is the greatest shooter in NBA history, no doubt, and the data backs it up. Russell Westbrook, for all his great talents on the court, is not a good 3-point shooter, and the data proves that too. Now here's Michael Jordan and LeBron James. As you can see...
Whoa! I did not know that. How is it? What? Okay, let's okay.
Michael Jordan started attempting more than 1 3-pointer a game. He started getting much better at it. And for the 3 or 4 seasons where he was attempting more than 3 a game, he actually shot them at a very elite 38% clip, which was outstanding for his era and would still be elite in today's day. Whereas LeBron, for the most part, his efficiency has not changed regardless of the number of attempts he makes. So the myth that Jordan had a weakness or a flaw in his game, which was a 3-point shot, is simply not true. It just wasn't a part of his game as much, but he was a good 3-point shooter. But defense is
I will say though, he was a good 3-point shooter late in his career. I do not want to believe that he was a good 3-point shooter early on in his career. And people always like to use that. Early on, he wasn't as effective, so they want to use that as their argument. He became better. He became elite.
equally as important as offense. So when we look at the other side of the ball, again, it's not close. Michael Jordan is the far more superior defender, and by a mile. He's won a Defensive Player of the Year award in his career. He's made all NBA defensive team selections 3 more times than LeBron, and averages more steals and blocks per 100 possessions. He also boasts a higher defensive win shares per 48 minutes and a higher defensive box plus minus. Now, earlier we looked at the shot chart data for both Michael Jordan as well as LeBron James to analyze their shooting efficiencies from various zones on the court. I want to replicate that for the defensive side of things. For LeBron, getting the data is easy. It's located on NBA.com under their stats section called the Defense Dashboard, which goes all the way back to the 2013-14 season, where you can look at their defensive shot charts and opponents' field goal percentage when they were the primary defender in the regular season as well as the playoffs from various zones on the floor. But unfortunately, this same data is not available for Michael Jordan's time. Luckily for you guys, I personally went through and analyzed all the old video footage from all the Bulls games in the 1991 playoff run, noting down each and every time when Michael Jordan was a primary defender and how their opponents shot from various zones on the court to replicate the data that we have for LeBron.
Wow.
And here's what I found out. While looking at their opponent's field goal percentage when they were the primary defender, Michael Jordan does a better job at protecting the rim. And as we move away from the rim, Michael Jordan does even better. Holding his opponents to only 10% from the 3-point line.
What?
10%. Whereas for LeBron James, looking at his opponent's field goal percentage from various zones,
LeBron's one-on-one defense is not a forte. I hope it shows help defense as well. I know LeBron's better at that, like chase down blocks and stuff, but that's also a myth. That's also a myth as well.
It's almost as if whether he was there or not, it would not have made a difference. This is why Michael Jordan is widely regarded as the greatest two-way player in NBA history. And there's a strong argument to be made that he is the best perimeter defender in NBA history. Now, before we look at the rebounding numbers for both of these players, I want to add some context here. If I give you 2 players and the first one averaged 1 more rebound than the second one, you'd say the first one is the better rebounder, right? Well, in this situation, the first player is Miles Turner and the second player is DeJounte Murray.
What?
Miles Turner is a 6'11" center who ranks 165th all time when it comes to rebounding, whereas DeJounte Murray is a 6'5" guard.
Context. If you're 6'9" and you average 1 more rebound than somebody that's 6'6", are you really a better rebounder? If I'm 5'9" and I average 4 rebounds a game, and have a 7-footer averaging 6 rebounds, is he really a better rebounder than me? No. That's actually pretty bad for a 7-footer. 6 rebounds? He should be getting 12. Know what I'm saying? LeBron fans forget that, the context. LeBron fans, a lot of you are emotional. Not like the millennials, the Gen Zs.
Who ranks 18th all time when it comes to rebounding. DeJounte Murray is the better rebounder for his position and size than is Miles Turner for his. Keeping that in mind, when we look at these 2 players and their rebounding numbers, at first LeBron looks like the better rebounder. But Michael Jordan consistently ranks higher within guards at offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, as well as total rebounds than LeBron does within forwards.
Wow.
So given position and size, Michael Jordan is the better rebounder. But when it comes to playmaking, it's not close.
Yeah.
We've all seen the kind of impressive...
Yeah, LeBron's a better passer. We'll give him that. But also it's also because of his attempts. Okay? Like the turnovers to assist ratio is just not something I'm convinced. Anyway, let's see what he says.
Passes that LeBron James can make. His assist numbers as well as his assist to turnover ratio prove that. He also consistently ranks higher within forwards than Michael Jordan does within guards.
Okay.
LeBron gets the edge when it comes to playmaking.
Okay.
Although Michael Jordan does handle the rock better, as is evidenced by his lower turnovers. So the notion that LeBron James is the best all-around basketball player that the world has ever seen is not true.
Not true.
Michael Jordan happens to be the superior scorer, the better shooter, the far superior defender, the better rebounder, arguably, and can handle the rock better. So,
Yeah.
having looked at all of these categories, from traditional statistics to advanced statistics and deep diving into individual aspects surrounding the gameplay, I have to give this category to Michael Jordan. You know, how you win a championship matters. It ain't just the number of rings that you have, it's also about how you got them. Recently, many analysts try to uplift modern NBA players by trying to insult the older generations and calling them plumbers and firemen. JJ Redick, Nick Wright, and Shannon Sharp.
They should be removed from these networks. They're just a bunch of clowns. Clowning different generations. What if 20 years from now they start doing that to this generation? Clowns. Get them out of here. Get the football player out of here. Get the bench guys that didn't really make an impact in the NBA out of there. Get them out of there. Get them out of there and get them to stop insulting generations upon generations of basketball. Get them out of there.
Yeah, I'm talking about you. The players of today might just be better than the players of previous generations, but that's largely only because of better sports science, better nutrition, and getting into the game much earlier in their childhood than otherwise. Coming back to Jordan and LeBron, if we look at the team records, or a better metric, the SRS score of the teams that they faced, it paints a pretty fair picture of the competition that they had. Well, you might be thinking, what is this SRS? Well, according to Basketball Reference, simple rating system is a rating that takes into account average point differential and strength of schedule. Basically, what it means is that the higher the SRS, the stronger a team is, and the harder it is to beat them. If we evaluate their opponents in the playoffs by SRS score, Jordan has faced tougher opponents in the first round, the second round, as well as the conference finals. In the finals, LeBron has faced a tougher opponent. But that still means that Jordan has faced the overall far tougher conference, and in general, the tougher route to the championship. You know, each year the NBA selects 15 guys to represent on their all-NBA teams. You know, these are the best of the best, the superstars. And the strength of a team is strongly related to the top-end talent. So I was thinking, what if we evaluate how many all-NBA players were in each conference during the time at which these players played? When Jordan played in the East, 45% of all his competition was in the Eastern Conference. Whereas when LeBron played in the East, only 30% of his competition was in the East, further solidifying the argument of the Eastern Conference during his time.
Yeah, Eastern Conference.
Basketball is a 5-on-5 game. So we should also take a look at their teammates, right? How many All-Stars did they play with? What kind of players did they have as support? What kind of help did they have when they...
This one should not be close. I would get out of this video if it's even like close.
So playing against the aforementioned competition. When looking at the help that both of these players had, Michael Jordan played with a player who had been selected to the All-Star game in that same season 6 times in his career. Okay. LeBron, 12 times. Michael Jordan never played with 2 All-Star teammates at the same time, whereas LeBron has done that 5 times in his career. Yeah. All of Michael Jordan's All-Star teammates came from one guy, Scottie Pippen, whereas LeBron has had help from the likes of Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Big C, and Mo Williams.
Russell Westbrook's not on that list. Maybe this video is old. Russell Westbrook's not on that list. Who else is not on that list? Kevin Love is on there. Ray Allen was the previous All-Star, so Ray Allen's on there. Russell Westbrook's on there. Luka Doncic now. This guy, like, he's overrated, folks. Get it through your head. He's overrated.
And Michael Jordan's record when he had an All-Star teammate in the playoffs is 19-2. The 2 losses? Well, the first one came in the conference finals in 1990 when Scottie Pippen had a migraine and sat out in a Game 7 win or go home. And the second came in 1995 when he just returned towards the end of the season after playing baseball for a year and a half.
Yeah.
For LeBron, that record stands at 29-7. And of those 7 losses, 3 of the times he had 2 All-Star teammates who were both healthy. Oh. Now, there's this narrative that LeBron needs more help. I mean, it's kind of always been around since his early Cavs days, before, you know, the decision to take his talents to South Beach. But back then it was actually true, and now it's kind of getting out of hand.
Yeah.
I personally don't hold it against LeBron for going and getting help. I mean, do what you gotta do to win a ring. Magic had Kareem and Worthy. Bird had McHale.
But the difference between those guys is they were drafted on those teams. He didn't just recruit players from different parts of the league and form super teams. He didn't do that. They didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, this player empowerment thing is LeBron's thing. This is why KD is doing it. This is why many different players now want to team up with each other to win. And it's weak. You gotta have a balance of the game somehow. You gotta have competition. Fight the adversity. If you're really that good, fight it. The team having super teams year after year after year.
And Parrish, right? But the notion that LeBron doesn't have help or needs more is just factually wrong. In addition to the huge amount of all-star help he's had, LeBron has played with 245 different players during his career. Michael Jordan has played with a total of 116. In fact, LeBron's teams have traded a total of 120 different assets, which includes players and first-round picks during his career. For Michael Jordan, that number is 35. And what's really interesting is that for LeBron, the number of players and first-round picks traded during the years when he reached the finals totals up to 68. For Michael Jordan, that number is 7.
That's crazy.
7 players or picks. 7 for 6 championships. In fact, LeBron has had more help from his front office than double that of Jordan and Kobe combined, who had a total of 26 such picks traded during their finals run.
That's insane, man.
Now, before I get to exploring the differences in eras for both of these players, I'd like to quickly address a topic that has recently been making the rounds on social media. We're done with the 90s. I'm sure most of you guys are already aware of what it is, but for those of you who are not, a certain section of the fan base is claiming that the NBA, as it was in the 90s, and to that extent even the 80s, was not actually as good as people remember them to be. They're saying is that the league as a whole was vastly overrated, and that the players back then were not nearly as good as they are today. Now, I'm working on another video where I'm going to be examining this statement, looking at the facts and the data in detail to evaluate whether there is some validity to that statement or not. But when it comes to both of these players and this context, I'd just like to say this. Having seen the games across multiple eras, I can safely say that the NBA officiating is much more lenient in today's day and age.
Yeah, it is.
In today's game, the offensive player can routinely take another step during their dribble, sometimes even 2, 3, or 4, without the refs calling it a travel.
Yeah, look at this, man. That's insane.
Bringing it to a standstill.
It's no longer basketball, man. We're shuffling your feet, taking 4-step step backs, and come on.
And then resume their dribble without being called for a carry. Defenders are not allowed to stay in the lane for more than 3.
What was that?
To a standstill and then resume their dribble without being called for a carry.
This is crazy.
Defenders are not allowed to stay in the lane for more than 3 seconds, or else it's a free throw for the other team. And defenders are not allowed to hand check their opponents, guiding them to where they want them to shoot from on the floor. All of these rules massively benefit the offensive player, and as such, they have a lot of freedom to develop skills to add to their bag, which they later pull out during in-game situations. So, are the players offensively better today than the previous generations? Yes, probably, because the rules allow them to be.
Yeah.
But the whole point of basketball as a sport is to put the ball in the hoop and prevent the other team from doing the same.
Yes.
As such, defense is just as important as offense. So the same rules which have made them offensively better have hampered their defensive development. And so the players of the past generations were far better defenders than they are today.
Yeah.
So if players today on average are better offensively, and players back then on average were better defensively, which generation or era had the better overall basketball skill set? Well, unless an all-decade team from the 2010s and the 2020s faces off in a hypothetical matchup against the 90s and the 80s, we will never know the answer to that question. But just because a player is better offensively does not make him a better overall basketball player. When Jordan was in the league, hand-checking was allowed. There was no defensive 3-second violation. Flagrant fouls of today.
Oh, goodness. I've not seen a foul like that in the league in a while. Goodness gracious, don't kill him.
Back then. And there were legit strong 7-footers like Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaq, Patrick Ewing, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, just lurking in the paint, waiting to swat you down like a fly the minute you decide to make an appointment with them at the rim. In today's day and age, and especially the last decade, you cannot so much as touch the player. The defensive 3-second violation rule exists, which leaves the paints wide open for drives to the rim. Ticky-tack fouls are called, which inflates scoring, especially for the superstars. And there has been a mass extinction of quality big men. So, all in all, when you evaluate these things, you realize that Michael Jordan just did more with less on his team while facing tougher opponents in a more difficult era. Yeah. And for that reason, I have to give this category of circumstances in Michael Jordan's favor.
Wow.
When thinking of game time or game-winning shots, Jordan is more efficient than LeBron, whichever way you look at it. I mean, if you define it within 24 seconds or less, Jordan scores a staggering 50%, whereas LeBron stands at 37%. 10 seconds or less, Jordan is pretty similar at 47%. LeBron in this case is not too far behind at 41. 5 seconds or less, Jordan is at 45 and LeBron is at 41. But when we consider the biggest stage of all, the finals, with 25 seconds left or less to hit a game winner or retire, Michael Jordan hits a staggering 50%, whereas LeBron has gone 0 for 7. Jordan's shooting percentages in the clutch are no different than anywhere else in the game, which is what makes him clutch. LeBron is a pretty good clutch shooter too, but he has fallen short when it comes to the biggest stage in the world of the NBA. And for that reason alone, I would have to give this category to Michael Jordan. I think Pat Riley said it best. If you had to choose a player to take a shot to save a game, you would choose Michael Jordan. If you had to choose a player to take a shot to save your life, you would take Larry Bird. Shout out to Larry Bird. Man was the most cold-blooded player in NBA history.
Yeah, Larry Bird, cold-blooded, man. Cold-blooded, cold-blooded.
But when it comes to these two, the clutch category goes to Michael Jordan. For the purpose of peak, we're going to consider the best 6-year stretch that the two players had.
I mean, when he won the 6 championships, maybe, I'm guessing.
Jordan, it was 1988 to 1993, and for LeBron, well, you can pick so many because he has been elite for so long, but personally, I'm going to pick his Miami days and his second stint with the Cavs, so 2011 to 2016. When it comes to it, Jordan simply won more in his peak. I mean, they both won the same number of rings, had the same number of finals MVPs, but Jordan managed to snag one more regular season MVP than LeBron, as well as managed to win a Defensive Player of the Year award. He also led the league in a major statistical category, in this case points and steals, a total of 9 times as compared to 0 times for LeBron. They both made All-NBA first team each year in their prime, but Jordan also managed to make All-Defense first team 3 more times than LeBron did. Now, I found this metric called the game score, which was a statistic developed by John Hollinger that holistically looks at all the aspects of a box score to kind of reduce it into one single number describing a player's overall impact on a game. And I thought to myself, in the prime, how a player does game to game matters. So I decided to compute their average game scores in their primes to see who had the better game on a daily basis. For some
Wow, excellent video, dude. Excellent video. Very in-depth. ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for reacting with me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Very interesting video. I'll link it down below. And yeah, we'll take it from there. Thank you so much for the video suggestion. And I'm very open to doing any additional reactions you guys want me to do. Just let me know in the comment section and we'll take it from there. May God bless you. I'll see you next video.